All right, now I want to move on and talk about my article here on Mali, and I titled it "The End of a Forever War," and that is because Mali is known as France's Forever War. And so yesterday we had an announcement by French President Emmanuel Macron that Operation Barkhane will begin to wind down after 9 years, and it will take about 6 months for the European soldiers to withdraw from Mali. This is a war that was set off by the wreckage of Libya, as Danny Sherjan explains, and I quote him here in this article, saying, in fact, toppling Muammar Gaddafi may count as a signal event by funneling fighters, firearms, and grievances into the Sahel's current conflict zones in the U.S. Western-induced tsunami of blowback. And so, that's what Danny is saying here, that you get this all over the Sahel region. And that's why, on the show, we talk about Burkina Faso and Nigeria and Niger and Mali and Chad, where you have an increased terrorism presence, and this has caused various problems. Part of the reason why the president in Burkina Faso was recently removed in a military coup was in part because the military felt like he wasn't doing enough. And while that could just be a pretext from the military to take power, it certainly is true that there is a growing jihadist presence in these areas. And just if you look up the what they say or what happens in these areas in the Western press, they're very short articles, but it's men on motorbikes came to a village, set everything on fire, and killed 20 people, 30 people, 50 people, 100 people, 150 people. I mean, just so many dying in these mass slaughter events in, again, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger. And of course, that's part of where we get where we are. Now, the reason that France is exiting Mali is not because they are having any success. In fact, it is the opposite. I write, the decision comes after months of increasing tensions with the ruling military leadership headed by Colonel Assimi Goïta. The colonel most recently seized power in his second coup last May. While he is currently at odds with the West, he was backed by France and the U.S. after his first successful coup in 2020. He has also participated in AFRICOM training programs. So yet another coup waged by somebody who was trained by AFRICOM. The number is, I think, getting close to 10 at this point. While his deep state ties to the Pentagon were highlighted by the Washington Post soon after the 2020 putsch, saying he worked for years with U.S. Special Operations Forces focused on fighting extremism in West Africa. He spoke regularly with U.S. troops and attended U.S.-led training exercises, said officers from both countries who spoke on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss the matter. The relationship with Goïta seems to have deteriorated over accusations that Mali was employing mercenaries from Russia's Wagner Group. Both Moscow and Bamako denied the allegations, but have acknowledged that the Russian military now has a presence in Mali. Talked about this in the past on the show. I'm not sure if the Wagner Group guys are in Mali or not, but it should be, it's not great that they're there, but at the same time, there's plenty of Western forces still in Mali, because again, this withdrawal is going to take 6 months, but there are definitely Russian forces there, and that is, I think, part of the shift of what's happening in Mali. Tensions heightened after he said it would take 5 years to transition back to civilian rule. In a response, Paris backed the Economic Community of West African States, a 15-nation group that Mali is a member of, in placing heavy sanctions on Mali. The government reports the sanctions have already caused economic suffering. The government claims that it missed payments on bonds because of the sanctions. The ruling military junta then began loudly demanding that Western forces leave the country. In January January, it succeeded in getting Denmark to remove its 300 soldiers and expelled the French ambassador soon after. While no direct military broke out between the Malian government and Western forces, the Malian leader accused Macron of creating a de facto partition in his country. Western forces did continue to come under fire from jihadist factions. On January 23rd, a French soldier was killed and an American wounded in an attack on a French base in the Malayan city Gao. Thursday's announcement from Macron signals an end to the ground war in Mali, meaning American and Western troops are now likely to be out of harm's way. However, Macron did not declare an end to the broader war, and thousands of troops will remain in the region. So, they are transferring the troops out of Mali. I think France had at the peak about 5,100 troops there. No idea how many American troops are there. There's also some, I think, Latvian or Estonian troops, I forget which one, and then from a couple other European countries. And so they're going to move to, Burkina Faso or Niger or something like that. The U.S. has large drone bases in the region, definitely in Niger and definitely in Cameroon. So one other thing I did want to mention is that the U.S., initially upon entering office, Biden sought to scale back America's military involvement in Mali. However, as a part of Biden's pivot to Asia, he entered into an arms agreement with the UK and Australia, dubbed AUKUS. The agreement gave Australia access to American nuclear-powered submarines, leading Canberra to cancel its multi-billion-dollar order for diesel-powered submarines from France. Macron's government became irate with the U.S. and in an effort to repair the relationship, Biden agreed to increase American support for Operation Barkhane. It is unclear how Paris's decision will impact the American military footprint in the Sahel. The lion's share of U.S. support for France came in the form of air support with aerial drones, and America still has several large drone bases in countries bordering Mali. It is unlikely then that Washington meddling in Mali isn't over. So, I do think that, the war in Mali is not over, although it will definitely change, maybe resembling Afghanistan some, especially with the major sanctions that were recently announced on Mali, that it's going to shift to maybe more of an economic war, and trying to, my guess would be the goal is to have the Malian government push the Russians out and invite the West back in. Not sure if that's going to happen, but I am pretty sure that the Malian people are going to continue to suffer unnecessarily under the West military footprint. I will note that today that the military junta in Mali did say that they expect the French and the European soldiers to leave immediately and not, take 6 months to do so, because, of course, they say they're going to do it in 6 months, and 3 years from now they're still there. So they're saying you need to leave now. Again, no indication yet that there's any tensions or potential for direct clashes between the two sides, which of course could become problematic pretty quickly since there are Russian soldiers backing the Malian government now. But I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to listen, or that they're not going to try to, really find some way to push on that government. And that could come in the sense of war, although my guess is it's going to be more economic warfare.